So too many don't have cards. And then I thought, well, I actually am just old enough to remember Pete Rose's 44 game hit streak, which is a totally different thing. I might just do that as a fun, cheapy, raw kind of, keep the mail days coming in a buck at a time kind of thing. But wouldn't that be cool to do a 41-56 game of DiMaggio's?
Oh, that I love that idea so
Yeah.
much. But
Yeah.
it really points out like that era of cards. There's just so few, right? There's
Yeah.
these sets that are beautiful, but they aren't big. They aren't big at
No.
all.
No. So who else do we have in those 80s building up to 89 Cubs? We got
This guy.
the Hawk.
Yes, that's what my jersey is.
Oh, I love it, dude. For those listening, Matt's wearing an Andre Dawson blue. Is that the road jersey? That blue
This is
one?
the 80. This is the 87 road jersey.
87 road jersey. That awesome.
Yeah.
Is it a Michelin S?
It is. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
found it on
cool.
eBay for like $40. I was
love
like,
it. Love it.
Yeah,
that is great, man. The Hawk.
So then, the classic story, he, there was the collusion, he wanted more money from the Expos. They wouldn't give it to him. Teams were colluding. And so Dawson's like, look, I want to play for the Cubs. And then he just sends them, he just says, I'll take he sends them a signed contract with no entry in the money. And he just shows up. It's crazy. And he has the MVP season. I think, overall, you look at Dawson's stats, they're not that amazing, right? I mean, he had some really good seasons, right? He's a Hall of Famer and everything, but like, if you look at the kind of modern metrics and things, he wasn't amazing. But when I was a kid, there was like no one more intimidating in the box than Andre Dawson. He's like this massive dude.
He was a baller with the Expos.
Yeah.
A 5-tool guy, great outfield with Warren Cromartie and Ellis Valentine. When I was a little kid, I remember just cannon for an arm, could hit, but then he ends up, think of how many years he plays on bad knees.
I know.
I think that has to hurt his numbers.
I think you're right. Yeah, playing on that stadium.
Yeah.
In Montreal. And then so then he's like, I want to go on the nice grass. I want to go. Yeah. So he comes to Chicago. And so he was my favorite Cub when I was a kid, was Andre.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they get Andre, right? And then now we arrive. And then the other thing that happens is the Cubs turn on the lights.
Oh, describe what you're holding up. It's a great card.
So Cubs fans probably know this card. This is a 1989 scorecard that says 1988 highlight first night game, Wrigley Field. So I had this card when I was a kid. This isn't the example of the card I had when I was a kid, but I loved it because I was like, oh, they made cards of stadiums, like as a kid, that's just kind of shocking. But so the Cubs have their first night game in August. They wanted to have it on August 8th, but it got rained out. But August 9th, 1988. And I think if you're a ticket collector, that's like a ticket that Cubs collectors try to get as this first night game. And I would think that this is largely in response to what happened in 84, right? They're like, but this was very controversial in Chicago because the Cubs are known as a day game team. You go to see the Cubs during the day and you get tanked during the day. You take the train home.
Old style.
Yeah, so people were super mad that they were going to turn on these lights at the field, but they did.
I remember.
88 was the first season they did it.
But what happened the first night they were supposed to turn on the lights?
Yeah, rained out.
Yeah, man, that's all. It's like God was not happy.
God was. Yeah, exactly. Cubs fans describe everything to some mystical reasons.
It's bigger than the game.
It's bigger than us, man. It's bigger than us.
I love it. I went to Wrigley. I've just been there. I went to 2 games there, and probably like 2010, 11. I was living in Cincinnati, and I went I went up there for the weekend by myself. The Giants were in town, and I caught what did I catch? I guess I saw 2 of the 3 games, whichever 2 they were, and it was incredible. It was before they did the stuff on putting the scoreboard and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear about it all your life, and then to be there and have it deliver in every single way. I sat kind of third base side my first game, and the second game went back and I sat in the bleachers, and I just it felt like no other baseball or sports experience I've ever had before or since.
It's crazy, right? It really does feel like a time machine in there.
Yeah. And the day games were key. I'm glad I went to both games. Went to were day games. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they get the lights in
Yeah.
'88, right? And I guess I would be remiss to also, also you've got, so when I was a kid, right? And I think this is a lesson that Major League Baseball does not understand right now,
Mm.
is that people love the Cubs because they could watch the Cubs, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of the Cubs games were on WGN. Every single game was on WGN,
Yeah.
which, was just a channel that everybody got. And
Yeah.
and there
Yeah.
wasn't like you had to subscribe to some special thing, blah 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 blah.
I
It's like,
used to watch the Cubs games in California.
yeah, because it
Yeah.
was on WGN, right?
Cubs and Braves. Cubs, Braves, and Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got, I feel like that's another reason why you've got a lot of Cubs fans, is simply through that. The games were available easily.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like right now that's like my biggest complaint with baseball, is that they can change the rules and all these things, but like if you just make the games hard for people to watch, they're not going to watch them. Like, what?
Dude,
It
I
drives
know.
me crazy. It's
And
so
it's super
sad.
hard. I mean, you're on the West Coast, so you have, I think, that's a perfect sports setup, right? Just like
Mhm.
I all around. So how am I supposed to do a World Series that starts at 8:37? How am I supposed to get my young son who's going to that's bedtime, 8:30, your lights out. And they wonder. Like my kid, he loves football, loves basketball, zero interest in baseball. Not for my lack of trying. Like I'll say, hey, you want to go see a Nats game? You don't go to a baseball game. I don't
What
even
the
know
heck?
you. Who are you? But it's just I don't know. I mean, it's not any one thing, but it is things
Mhm.
like that to make so little understanding of how to get the kids involved.
Yeah, just yeah, I mean, but so yeah, the Cubs were accessible, right, through
Yeah,
WGN, and of course,
yeah.
like, if you listen to WGN, you saw this dude.
Oh my
So
god.
I'm showing a picture here, or I'm holding up my 1995 Upper Deck Michael Jordan card, where it shows Jordan in a White Sox uniform being interviewed by Harry Carey, and you can even see the WGN Sports on his
Oh, I
little.
love it.
He's not holding a beer that you can see, but there's probably a beer nearby. It's Harry Carey. And funnily enough, like in our conversations, Dave,
Yeah,
like right leading up to this was like, okay, I
yeah.
gotta have a Harry Carey card, gotta have a Steve Stone card, because those
Got
guys
him.
were the announcers.
That's awesome.
And then
Absolutely.
you find out actually there aren't any cards of Harry Carey. Couldn't find one. Then I find this image of him with Jordan on Jordan's card, and this is
Yeah.
cool because I don't know. You probably see it on YouTube a lot. There was, the Cubs played the White Sox at Wrigley Field in
Yep.
spring training
Yep.
1995. I think
Okay.
that's what this image is from. I think
Okay.
Jordan hit a double in that game and scored some runs. He actually played pretty well. Um, and I find this Harry Carey card, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta find this Harry Carey card. And of
Yeah,
course,
yeah, yeah.
they're all the graded ones are expensive. I thought it was going to take too long, and so yesterday I was at the Burbank Card Show in
Alright.
Ontario, California,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, oh man, I really would love to find. Last year I got a Mickey Mantle. This year I'm trying to find this cheap Michael Jordan card, but it's like it's in that realm of like too cheap of a card to find at a
Totally.
card show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And fortunately, I found the Burbank Cards booth where they just had like stacks and stacks of their cards in like 5-row boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
I asked the guy, I'm looking for a Jordan card. It's one of his baseball cards, and he's like, it's going to be in one of these boxes. So he points me about to two 5-row boxes of just Michael Jordan cards and penny sleeves, and I'm like,
Uh.
I guess I'm doing this right. And so I just grabbed the box,
Did you have a
found a
chair?
yeah, the guy pointed to me to like, okay, he's like, see that old guy right there? Just sit next to him. So there's an old guy like looking through boxes, trying to fix his like 63 top set.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just plop down next to him. I start chugging through, man, looking through like
Wow.
hundreds of cards. And then amazingly, I found it. And I remember I
Ah.
shouted when I found it. I was like, there it is. Oh,
Wow.
man.
Would that
1995
set you
Upper Deck.
back?
It was labeled for 250, and because the guy didn't want to make change, he just gave it to me for two.
I love it.
Probably worth one, but I mean, I don't know.
Come
I
on, but
was
look
like,
at the story because you
yeah,
actually had messaged me about that card. I'm so blown away you found it the day before we're recording, man.
I'm so happy I found it.
Oh.
And like, it's funny because like you paid $30 to get in the show. I had to pay $20 to park. And if I would have left with just this, I would have said success.
That's awesome. Congrats, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So 89 is the year that Harry Carey makes the Hall of Fame.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he wins the Ford C. Frick Award.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
so was that granted was that at the same time as the Hall of Fame, like in the beginning of the calendar year? Like in January or February?
I don't know. I didn't do the research that far. I
I
don't know
wonder if
when
it's,
it was
yeah,
given.
before the
Yeah,
season or after. Maybe it
yeah,
was another
right.
reason, 89
I don't
Cubs.
know. I got a little Ford Frick Award winner here to show you. I got a mail day myself this week. It's a 2012. It's called Panini Cooperstown Signatures. John Miller, who
Awesome.
I love John Miller, and I wanted it for my own Giants collection. I have an 85 Dwayne Kuiper on the Giants card, one of the Giants longtime announcers that I had him sign it at the Stick when I was a little kid.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I've had that forever, and now I want to send one away to Kruko. So get one from Kruk, and then I'll have 3 of the 4. Dave Fleming, the 4th guy, doesn't have any cards, but I had my
Mhm.
eye. You ever watch a card that's on eBay and they seem to buy it? It's a buy it now price, and everyone sort of prices it roughly the same. You're like, I think those are all too high. You're all priced based on each other. I'm just gonna wait, and I finally someone put one up for an auction. Bay Area guy too. Like, who buys this card other than a Giants fan? But it's cool. And it's his only main issue. It's the only
That's
John Miller
awesome.
main issue card, serial number to 500. I wouldn't have got an auto if I had a choice, but yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I wish they would have had a card of that like Carey, right? I would
Yeah,
have been all over it.
yeah, for sure, for sure. For so 1989 is interesting thinking about this episode with you because 1989 is a significant year for me too. It's a big year for the Giants. They win the West, right? We have very different experiences when I think
Yeah.
89, when you think 89. Um, but
Yeah, I
neither
mean,
of us won the World Series, I guess. So.
yeah, well, neither of us went. I mean, I mean, for me, it was like, but it was a magical season, right? The Cubs were really good that year. They, as we
Yeah,
talked about, they kind of really stacked the team up. They were kind of like primed to go, even though they were kind of miserable between 84 and 88. They're bad.
yeah,
But 89 comes around, they also add a lot of young guys. They got Grace coming back,
mhm.
who, so, so yeah, let's get into it. So
Let's
like
get into it.
yeah, yeah. So for me, 89 is a big deal because that
Yeah,
was the first year I turned 9
okay.
in 1989, and that was my first baseball game at Wrigley Field was that year, and I went to the game, and
1989.
going over this with you, we talked about
Yeah,
how, so I knew that I went to a game, and I knew that it was the game that I went to was one where the promotion was a complete set of 1989 tops, Cubs players, like a Cubs team set. And
promo
so,
set.
so
Nice.
my dad takes me and my 2 brothers. We go to this game, um, and I had baseball cards previous to that, but I remember sitting in my seat at Wrigley Field, like
Yeah.
holding this set of cards in like this little plastic container
Uh-huh.
and being like, oh my God, like how could they just give this to so many people? Right. And I'm like, my baseball card collection is now transformed. I have this full set, and and I love the design of 89 tops. And so I get this Cubs team set, and I mean, I had so much fun in that game, and I
Mm,
remember holding the cards and just feeling like I mean, that moment like tethered the Cubs in that season like to my soul.
mm, mm, mm.
Because and I didn't remember what happened at that game or what anything about the game, but in your conversations with me, I started doing a little digging,
Mm,
right? And I'm like,
mm.
someone's got to have a promotional schedule. And so I find an 89 Cubs promo schedule on
Wow.
eBay. So this is a
Wow.
magnet that
Uh-huh.
has the full, you can see, love that
Oh,
old
yeah.
style
Oh,
classic
yeah.
Cubs.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then on this side of it is the list of the promotions of all the days of the promotion. So I looked on here, and then boom, baseball card day for everyone was Thursday, August 10th, 1989. So
Wow.
I find the exact game, and now I know why I'm at that game. I turned 9 years old. So my brothers and I all share a birthday, and it's August 14th.
Okay.
So they were born on my second birthday. That's a whole separate conversation.
Wow.
But my dad took us to this game for our birthday in 1989.
Wow.
And then if you with the amazing aspects of the internet, not only did I find the Cubs promotional schedule, I go on to eBay, boom, 2 tickets
Oh
to
my gosh.
August 10th, 1989,
Those are
Cubs
complete
Phillies.
tickets?
These are complete tickets.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Amazing, right?
Wow. Ah,
$10 on
dude,
eBay.
this is
$10.
so good.
It's
Ah, I love
crazy.
it.
It's crazy. So,
Incredible.
and then if you and now I know, so now I go on to Baseball Reference. I can look up the game, I can look up everything about it. Turns out that was a very pivotal game in the 89 season for the Cubs. And it was a 16-13 loss
Mm,
to the Phillies. Sandberg hits 2 homers
mhm.
in that game. It's a 4-hit game with 2 homers. I think Dunston has like a 5-hit game, but it's one of these things that's like representative of the whole Cubs season. They jump out to the lead. The
Yeah,
Phillies come back, take the
yeah.
lead from them. The Cubs come back, take the lead again, but then they blow it in the end and they lose 16-13 to the Phillies. And
You know, it's
and
so
so super exciting game. And I mean, I don't remember the details of the game, but I remember just coming out of it and being like, I'm a Cubs fan forever. I love baseball cards. Like it was a pivotal, formative moment in my childhood.
wow.
And so
Um,
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was
So
just you go.
okay.
Okay.
So I don't have the cards with me from that set. They're at my mom's house, I'm sure, but they kind of got mingled in with the rest of my cards. But in preparing for this, I just had to go onto eBay and get
Yeah.
myself a complete team set of it. And like, ah,
Uh,
89 tops. Like, look at that design. Isn't
It's a
that a
great
sweet
design.
design,
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah, I think it's the
Oh my
second best
God.
of the decade, actually.
Yeah.
Clean back.
Awesome cards,
I
clean
love it.
backs. And
I
then
have yeah,
go
I have the
ahead, go
Mark
ahead.
I also have the Mark Grace right here. 53 in spring training. This must be before we were 17 for them?
Yeah, yeah, it
17,
was
yeah.
17.
Got the
Yeah,
rookie cup.
rookie cup card. I
He's a
remember
good
thinking
player.
like when I was a kid, I'm like, this card's gonna be worth big money.
Looks
Oh my
good, man.
god, dude. And then
Several-time All-Star.
yeah, so they got Grace who's coming up, and then these two
Mhm.
guys played out of their minds that
Oh, yeah.
season.
Oh, yeah. Who you
Jerome
showing there?
Walton.
Yep.
I got a Jerome Walton and a Dwight Smith. So these are from 89 tops traded.
Yep.
Um, Walton wins Rookie of the Year in
Yeah.
89,
Yeah.
and he plays out of his mind, like legit out of his mind. And actually, Dwight Smith was second place in
Yep.
Rookie of the Year voting. So the Cubs, they've
Yep.
got their team is stacked. They've got a couple guys playing like well beyond their capabilities, and they got this guy on the bench. I'm
Zimmer.
holding up a 1989 Topps card of Don Zimmer. And when I was a kid, I just thought that Don Zimmer was my grandpa because he looks like Popeye. He kind of looks like my grandpa. And
It's
so
funny.
yeah, he's like the classic manager in my mind. I know that you wanted to get into this, and let's do
Well,
it now.
I got a few things. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So getting ready, I did a dive into the '89 Cubs, and I watched the '89 Cubs highlight video on YouTube.
Awesome.
Other people read books or spend time with their families. I watched this video yesterday. Here it is, Wrigley Field, the boys of Zimmer, and there's this great quote on the screen. It says, this is Don Zimmer, said Jim Fry, who's the GM, Jim Fry and I said in the spring that if we went 81 and 81, we'd celebrate. So coming in, like this team, everything just came together for them.
Yeah,
They were not expected to compete like the way they did, but they started out slowly, and then they got
yeah,
hot. Yeah.
yeah.
They
That's
started out slow,
exactly right.
they got hot before they gelled. Um, like you were saying, Jerome Walton he was on the come up. He was supposed to be the starting center fielder, but he definitely exceeded their expectation for him. Won NL Rookie of the Year. He had a 30-game hit streak during the season. Definitely the highlight of his career. And I remember because I remember in '87, this guy, Benito Santiago, who still has the rookie record. In '87, Santiago had a 34-game hit streak for the Padres. And I remember Walton chasing him, which I think is such a cool, like, He had 30
Yeah.
game hit streak.
Yeah.
So I remembered 89 Upper Deck just being such a game changer. For all the reasons, anyone who's geeky enough to listen to this knows all the reasons already. And Walton's not in the low numbers, right? He's a high number. I remember chasing this card, and I'm showing this 89 Upper Deck that honestly, that it was neck and neck with the Griffey.
Dude,
People wanted this card as much as I can totally remember going to card shows and opening packs. People definitely in the summer of 89 wanted the Jerome Walton's rookie card as much as they wanted Griffey's. Absolutely. I never got a Griffey, but I did pull a Walton.
dude, it's funny, the opposite for me.
Oh,
So I really, really wanted the Walton. I mean, I'm in Chicago. Everyone's freaking out about Jerome
yeah,
Walton, right?
yeah,
He's
yeah,
like
yeah.
going to be the next Joe DiMaggio. I actually pulled a Griffey. I remember one of the first packs I ever got of 89 Upper Deck. I never got the Walton. I mean, I did later on as an adult, but
Yeah.
not when I was a kid. Classic cards, man. Classic
Man,
cards.
so good. I had like an inkling to go. It's a great Facebook group. I have a small collection of unopened wax and packs vintage to buy a low number box of Upper Deck from a sealed case. So a fash box of 89 low numbers, just so I could have that experience once in my life of
Mhm.
pulling a Griffey. And I thought about it, I'm like, save your $400. You don't need that experience. It's not going to be that good. If you really just want the card that bad, just go buy the card.
Yeah, you can get a 9 for I actually when I think maybe it was like 2012 I bought a box of low number and I opened it. I put all the cards in a binder. I think I maybe got 2 boxes. I think I got 0 Griffies out of one and maybe 1 or 2 out of the other, but they were super off center, just nasty.
Center. They had really a bad collation.
Yeah, super
Yeah,
bad.
really bad. So if you could get 3 Griffies in a box or 0, that's
Yeah.
why if I ever do it, I'll buy a fash one. So I know no one has, once you pull the Griffey, you know, these people know his boxes where you're not going to get a Griffey because people have rigged it on us.
Yeah.
I got a
Love
couple
it, man.
more. I got a couple more cards
Let's
to
see what you
share.
got.
Let's keep going. I remember this team vividly.
Yeah.
So I remember a huge trade. You want to talk about the trade a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the trade you're talking about is the
Yeah.
Palmeiro and Jamie Moyer
Yep.
or Mitch Williams in the trade. I think it went down in like, what was it? Very late 88, maybe December of 88.
December 5th, 1988. Yep.
Yeah. So you got, I mean, obviously in hindsight, not a great trade for the Cubs. We're going to talk about Mitch Williams, but trade specifically, right? Palmeiro obviously goes on to have a massive career, but on the Cubs, it was tricky because we got Grace at first, right? And then there also were rumors of some shadiness with Palmeiro and Sandberg's wife.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can find it on the internet.
Wow.
So I think there was motivation to get Palmeiro out of there. And Palmeiro is a weird dude, right? You think about Will Clark and Palmeiro, right? Their relationship from Mississippi State.
Yeah. With Thigpen. 3
guys.
Yeah, Thigpen also. Yeah. It's so funny. Is there any guy I think about less who had monster numbers even before he was juicing, never gets a sniff of the Hall of Fame, but plays 20 years in the show. He has a 71.9 career WAR, 569 home runs, 3,020 hits, right? Amazing. 4-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove.
I mean, he was a solid player and he played well for a bunch of teams. Like, even though, because he bounced around right between Texas and Baltimore.
He kept going Texas, Baltimore. Yeah.
But I mean,
big numbers. I did a dive into him. First of all, like my knock against Palmer, great numbers, but also did it for Texas and Baltimore when they'd be 30 games out in August, which does knock it down a little bit. But the part that I got lost on in researching this in the Palmeiro trade is the 2005 when he testifies. I have a picture. Remember this?
Oh yeah. Did he point?
He wags his fingers. I did not take steroids. And then 6 weeks later, he fails a drug test and says it's a B12 shot that Tejada gave me. He throws Tejada under the bus. Throws everybody under the bus. Is vilified. And he's playing. It's his 20th and final season. He comes in, he's testifying. I think he's about 50 hits short of 3,000, and he keeps playing. And as the season goes on, he gets more and more vilified, more and more booed. It gets to the point where they're playing in Toronto in August, end of August, and he's playing with earplugs. The Jays fans are on him all game long. He's wearing earplugs, and he actually, after that game, you can look it up. I think it's August 30th, 2005. He never takes a field for the last month of the season. Doesn't play it all in September, and just kind of vanishes into ignominy. So strange.
I mean, people just hated that dude. They hated that guy. Because I also think I also read that, like, you know, they were supposed to have like Rafael Palmeiro like celebration day at Camden,
really?
and then like he testifies, and then they shut all of that down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's brutal, dude. It's brutal. But
So
okay,
yeah.
So here's the Palmeiro from '89.
There it is.
And then also Jamie Moyer, right? Jamie Moyer was also a major loss in that trade.
Pitched till he's 49 years old, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I know what could have been.
Moyer.
What could have been. It's funny though.
Paul Kilgus. That was Paul Kilgus they got with Mitch Williams. Gave him like 140 innings, but not much.
So here's my Mitch Williams 89 tops, and this is a traded card actually. But I love this card because it shows exactly what my grandpa hated about Mitch Williams.
What is?
You can see his like long hair and his kind of like general attitude of like kind of a punk attitude. Totally. And so I remember, I think he played pretty well when you look at the stats, but my emotional recollection of Mitch Williams is that he was a disaster and that he would like lose every game, but it was largely colored by the fact that like my grandpa just like hated this dude. Because now I don't know if you remember this, but like when Mitch Williams would pitch, he would kind of throw it in a weird way. He like fell off the mound.
He like looked through over his shoulder so he could see. Yeah.
Yeah. And like my grandpa was like, this guy's got long hair. He acts like a punk, and he like falls off the mound. So my grandpa would just like curse up a storm every time like Mitch Williams came in. So my recollection of him is that he was a disaster. But in '89, I think he did play pretty well for the Cubs.
Damn. He did 36 saves. Yeah. He actually had 2 really good years, and both of them kind of end in defeat, right? So he has 36 here, and then was that 93 when they lose the series and the Joe Carter home run? He has 43 home run saves that year for the Phils against the Jays. Yep.
Oh my god.
So I got the Mitch Williams. I like this one a little with the upper deck, also high number, because he has a card with the Rangers that year too. I went to the upper deck for a little fun. He was there in spring. It looks like a spring train holding his bag with his gear.
Yeah.
So I got to get my buddy Kenny V. I've known all my life in my brother's grave, like since we were kids in the neighborhood. Kenny V, when we were teenagers, used to just go out to the stick and just heckle players. And I mean, like he would go behind, and the bullpen at Candlestick was right on the field. There was like a little covering, and there was one bench that was ground level, and they're major leaguers. They're supposed to like ignore that stuff. And Kenny used to ride Mitch Williams so hard that Mitch Williams challenged him to a fight in the parking lot.
Cannot write that stuff.
Oh, dude, Kenny, man, he got under his skin. Oh, so good.
Oh my god.
And Don Zimmer.
Yeah.
Don Zimmer. So I was really introduced to Don Zimmer. One of the great sports autobiographies of all time is Bill Lee's The Wrong Stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with Bill Lee or this book.
Bill Spaceman Lee?
Yeah, Bill Spaceman Lee, right? He's got the Spaceman costume on the cover of the book right here. Such a great autobiography. There's a story in there. There was this fan who had been scorned by Rod Carew, and she offered. This is in the book. I remember this book like it was yesterday. She offered to give Bill Lee
pleasure
if he would hit Carew in the dick. It's in the book. No,
Oh my
apparently
god.
Rod Crew is incredibly well endowed, and so it's like it was a reasonable shot. It's a great book. So in the book, Bill Lee, who's a Marin guy like me, I think the tail end of high school in San Rafael, and then went to SC, I think, was a real good pitcher in the Red Sox, 73 to 75, won 17 games each year. Actually was ahead twice in the 75 World Series. They took him out and lost both times. Back then, he was a real old school guy. He's still playing. He was playing semi-pro league up in Sonoma County. I think he's on those yellow banana slug semi-pro team. He's like in his 70s, still pitches. And I have buddies who play semi-pro in Marin or in Sonoma, and the guy was a total like red ass, like still throwing at people and stuff like that. So, but Lee was very outspoken, very politically progressive, just marched to the beat of his own drummer. There's an 81 Fleer you can find of him. He's got a big bushy beard because he ends up exiled to Montreal. He talks about playing in, I think it's Saskatchewan, and like tripping on mushrooms. He's quite a character and says whatever he wants, and is very critical of Don Zimmer, who's the Red Sox manager. 1978, that's the year of that famous collapse right there in August. They have a 14-game lead on the Yankees, and they falls apart. It really hits rock bottom. It's called the Boston Massacre. They lose a 4-game set to the Yankees, right? And they go from being 14 up to now tied. The fourth and final games, and Bill Lee is criticizing publicly in the papers, is criticizing Zimmer for the way he's managing the staff. So Zimmer, old, kind of an old school guy, trades away Bill Lee's favorite best friend on the team, guy named Bernie Carbo, right? Who later becomes a hairstylist, owns a salon. Bernie Carbo ends up in Cleveland, and he won't pitch Bill Lee. Back then, he was a starter, gets put in the bullpen, which is total banishment. They're down the first 3 games in this Boston Massacre 4-game series, and he won't start Bill Lee. Brings up a nobody. I can't remember the guy's name for the minor leagues to start instead of Bill Lee. So spiteful was Don Zimmer, they actually hurt his team, not doing his best because just to prove a point. So I'm going to show you a couple 1978 tops. What's great about these cards is I can tell you that with absolute certainty that I pulled these from packs. 1978. Oh, nice. I think these are good managers cards. They have the now and then. When they were players and they were young, and Bill Lee in spring training. They're such awesome. Good memories. This is where the gerbil nickname comes from. He was Popeye until Bill Lee started calling him the gerbil.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so man. It must have really ground his gears, man. That must have made him crazy.
So good. Bill Lee, man, wrong stuff.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when I was collecting the 56 tops that I remember buying the Zimmer. Because he was on the Dodgers, I think.
Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing him as it broke my brain kind of seeing him as a young man. Because in my head, I picture him on that 89 Topps card as this old guy. It looks like my grandpa.
That's amazing.
That's so funny.
What else you got? I got more. What do you got?
Oh, man. Well, so here's another one. This guy was really good for the Cubs in 89. This is Mike Bielecki.
So yes, really good. Had been mediocre before. I think he wins 17.
Yeah, I think he had like a WAR of like 5 in 89. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Him, that dude, I think Scott Sanderson, I think was his name.
Comes over from Montreal. That's exactly right. Wins 10 games.
Yeah.
He's really their number 5 starter, I think. There he is.
89. Scott Sanderson.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. 89 Cubs, they just had some guys come out of nowhere and just play out of their minds, right?
Yeah.
And so in Chicago, it was like fever pitch during that season. We lost out in 89 and 84. This year we're gonna get them, right?
Yeah.
It's just, oh my God. But I also, dude, I love these cards. The 89 Topps All-Star.
So good.
Yeah, there's the Dawson. Here's the Sandberg.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
You want to pause and open some packs?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Sport Flicks.
All right. So I sent Matt a couple of packs so we have a little fun. find it relaxes to me to open a pack every now and then. Occasionally, I'll buy new stuff to open with my son, but not too much. Not too interested.
Ooh, nice. So this is
Oh, you're not going to
1994.
believe this. Yeah, we're
Oh, let's see
opening
what
a
you
pack
got.
of 1990 sports flicks, friends. Oh my God. Dude, who'd you get?
Okay, so card number 1 for me,
Yeah.
Jim DeShays,
Oh, there you
current
go.
Cubs announcer. Jim
Oh,
DeShays.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
here you see him pitching on the Astros. You can see that nice Sport Flicks action there.
Yep.
So that was my number 1. Number 2,
Nice.
Nick Esaski
Remember Nick Esaski?
on the Red
Red
Sox.
Sox. Yep.
The card number 3, Andres Galarraga.
Ooh,
Big
the
cat.
big cat.
Nice.
Beloved giant. Expos? Yeah, still
Yeah,
Expos.
here he is in the Expos.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
This guy
he
was
was
also solid.
so
Solid
solid.
hitter.
400 plus home runs. He's on
Did
the
not look
94
like
Expo team.
Yeah, did not look like an athlete. I remember that.
No, but he was good. So I'll go from worst to best.
All right.
Scott Bankhead, pitcher.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I always get there's a 51 Bowman card of one of the first black African or first African American players in baseball.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always remember and his last name is also Bankhead. And I remember always searching for him and often getting that one.
Yeah. Don
Bankhead. Yeah, that's right.
Don Pay. I actually bought it raw, graded it in SGC, and then just sold it.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
nice card.
I had it for a while. It's like one of those things where I'm just consolidating. It's a
Yeah.
nice card.
It's really
Interesting
pretty.
story. It's the first black pitcher
Yeah.
for Brooklyn, and then it doesn't do well. Actually, gets blown up, and he goes back down, spends a lot of time in the minors, ends up becoming a position player.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I knew it was.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I made a post with a bunch of cards, and I remember a lot of people
Mhm.
thought that the Bankhead card was Newcomb. I'm like, no, Bankhead was
No.
before Newcomb.
No. Dude, Newcomb's a baller. I feel like I got to
Dude,
get some first
you
Cy
should.
Young Award winner, first African American to win 20.
Beast.
Right, wins the first Cy. That 56 is not a cheap card. I mean, it's not that expensive, but
You could get a pretty nice one for like $100 if I remember right.
okay.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
I always like he's not a common.
No.
I don't know why I always,
Yeah, he's definitely not a common.
All right. So next one I
What do you
got, apropos of the 1989 Cubs.
Oh,
Jerome, baby.
yes. Dude, you hit the gold. You hit the
my
jackpot.
God. Perfect for this episode. Unbelievable.
That's a perfect card, dude.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
And then my other one from worst to best, Walton's 2, number 1, Barry Bonds.
Your pack was perfect, man. You couldn't have dialed it up better than that.
Yeah, you know
Bonds
what?
and Walton.
It's because Sports Flick sends me loaded boxes.
Perfection. That's awesome, dude.
Oh my God. Best player I ever saw.
Yeah.
Best player I ever saw, no matter what. Amazing.
You ever watched you watched that classic moment between him and Gagne where oh man, I love watching that. I love seeing all the players up on the dugout. They're like, we gotta see this. This is one of the best at-bats of all time.
Ever. That was so good. Let's go one more pack.
89.
Yeah, baby. 89. Tops. Yeah, when I knew we were doing this one, this season, I knew I had to send you some 89 tops. All right.
Ooh, nice.
Is this the last year of gum?
No, I think
1990 have gum?
I think 91 is the last year.
91. If you know, listening, drop a comment. Let us know.
Yeah, I think 92 is when they tried to make like a more premium card.
Okay.
Or 92 was. Right. 91's my favorite.
That's the one with the gold. You like 91?
91's one of my favorites.
It's clean. It's a great Clemens. That's the one that Clemens in front of the Green Monster. Oh, that's a great card.
Yeah.
All right.
What'd you get?
I got player manager Pete Rose.
This stupid haircut.
I know.
I got this is my top card here. Craig Biggio.
There you go.
Rookie card, right? Yeah, 89. This is rookie. Nice.
Tom Kelly. I got Nick. So far, Pete Rose is my highlight.
famous Cub and Giant.
Oh, Rick Rushell, Big Daddy.
Yeah. He was solid, man. He was pretty
Very
good.
solid. He starts the All-Star game that year, 89. Gives up that bomb to Bo. Oh, look who I got. I'm a Giant fan. Matt Williams.
Oh, nice.
Real good third baseman.
That's a second-year card, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
88 record breaker, Wade Boggs. Boggs is 200 hits, 6th straight season. And Tommy John.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Got Jody Reed, Boston Red Sox.
Oh, sure.
Teddy Higuera.
Oh, yeah.
Brewers.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Aldi version of Fernando Valenzuela.
Yeah. Tigers, Jeff Robinson.
Oh, yeah. Plays for the Giants.
Jim Eppard, Angels.
I remember him.
And then Tim Leary, Dodgers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. That's
Good
who I got.
Times, man.
Marvell Wynn.
Oh, he
Padres.
played for the Cubs.
Yeah,
he's on the 89 Cubs, actually. Yeah. He comes over late in the season. Originally, he was a Pirate. Yeah. Marvell Wynn at the end of the season. Maybe he comes over after the deadline. He's definitely on that team, though.
Oh, nice. I don't think. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I don't think
Might
they
have
got him in this.
I think he came over post traded set.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.